It was supposed to be another lively morning on The View. Banter, laughter, a few sharp jabs, nothing more. But when Hollywood's toughest working-class hero, Mark Wahlberg, stepped onto the stage, the air shifted. The applause was warm, but the tension underneath it was unmistakable. He cut a sharp figure in a navy suit, that trademark Boston confidence slightly tempered by the hum of anticipation. Mark shook hands with the hosts, flashing his easy smile as he took his seat. Joy Behar leaned into her mic, her grin edged with something almost mischievous. "Welcome back to The View, Mark. Here to promote your latest film." "I see." There was a beat, just long enough to feel the bite behind her words. "Always a pleasure to be here," Mark said smoothly. "Oh, I bet it is," Joy replied, her tone playful but cutting. "You've had quite the career. Would you call yourself an accomplished actor?" A ripple of uneasy laughter ran through the audience. Mark's jaw flexed, but his tone stayed steady. "I've worked hard." "I'm proud of what I've done," Joy chuckled, a short, dismissive sound. "Hard work, or just playing the same tough guy from Boston in every movie? I mean, if you've seen one Mark Wahlberg performance, haven't you seen them all?" The room fell still. Mark folded his hands, measured. "Well, Joy, I'd say each character has depth, if you're paying attention." "Oh, I pay attention," she shot back, eyes glinting. "I just haven't seen any. Angry cop, angry soldier, angry boxer. It's like you're just playing yourself." Even Whoopi shifted in her seat. "Joy," she began, but Joy waved her off. Mark's voice dropped half an octave. "You're entitled to your opinion. But I think the millions of people who connect with my work might disagree." "Ah, yes," Joy sneered, making air quotes. "The relatable everyman. Only this everyman lives in Beverly Hills and wears $1,000 suits. How relatable is that?" Mark's smile didn't waver, but his eyes darkened. "I haven't forgotten where I came from, Joy. You can succeed without losing your roots." "Oh, please," she scoffed. "You're as Hollywood as they come. You don't speak for working-class people anymore. You left that life behind years ago." The audience fell silent. Mark leaned in, his Boston accent slipping through. "That's a hell of an assumption, Joy. You don't know me, and you sure as hell don't know where I came from." She crossed her arms, smirking. "Maybe not, but I know what I see. A man who cashed in his street cred for a mansion and forgot what it means to fight for something real." Mark's fists tightened beneath the table. "You've got a lot to say about me," he said quietly, "but it sounds like you're really talking about yourself." A collective gasp swept through the audience. Joy's face flushed. "Oh, trust me, Mark, we'll get to me," she snapped. "But we're not done with you yet." Mark leaned back, his gaze steady and unflinching. "Neither am I." The red light of the camera blinked back on. The audience held its breath. What began as a routine interview had become a battle. One of pride, authenticity, and the blurred line between who you are and who the world says you've become. The studio felt like a pressure cooker. Whoopi and the other co-hosts sat frozen, their eyes flicking nervously between Joy and Mark, as if they were watching two pit bulls circling the same bone. The tension was thick enough to hum. Joy struck first, her voice deceptively sweet. "So, Mark," she began, the corners of her mouth curling, "this new movie of yours, let me guess, another angry Boston guy with a chip on his shoulder? Or did you finally branch out and play an angry Boston guy in a different hat?" The audience tittered uncertainly. Mark's smile barely held. "That's cute, Joy," he said evenly. "But if you'd actually watched the film instead of just reading the press notes, you'd know it's about redemption. About a man trying to make things right." Joy clapped her hands together theatrically. "Ah, redemption. How perfect. Considering your whole career's basically been you trying to redeem yourself for what you did before Hollywood bailed you out." The words cracked through the air like a whip. Mark's back went rigid, but his tone stayed calm. "You want to talk about my past? Fine. I've made mistakes. I've owned them, and I've worked my ass off to build something better." Joy didn't miss a beat. "Owned them, or swept them under the rug while flashing that charming smile for the cameras? Because from where I'm sitting, it's just the same old Mark Wahlberg, just in a nicer suit." Mark's jaw tightened. "You really enjoy tearing people down, don't you?" Joy leaned back, smug. I enjoy calling out hypocrisy when I see it. You act like you're the voice of the working class. But you're just another millionaire pretending to care. A low murmur rippled through the audience. Mark tapped the arm of his chair once, then folded his hands again. You don't know me, Joy. You don't know what I do when the cameras aren't rolling. And you sure as hell don't know what I care about. Oh, but I do, Joy shot back, her Brooklyn edge sharpening every word. You care about box office numbers. You care about image. You care about staying relevant. Playing the same tough guy again and again because you're too scared to take a real risk. Mark let out a short, humorless laugh. You know what's funny? You sit here every day preaching kindness and equality and progress. But the second someone doesn't fit your narrative, you tear them apart. That's not journalism, Joy. That's just cruelty and makeup. That one landed. Even Whoopi raised her brows. Joy, unfazed, leaned forward, eyes flashing. Better cruelty than being a fraud. Mark's gaze hardened. Is that what you think I am? A fraud? Because I've spent my entire life proving otherwise. Joy slammed her hand on the table. Oh, please. You think playing pretend for millions of dollars is work? Real people out there are struggling while you sit in your mansion pretending to represent them. You're a Hollywood product, Mark. Nothing more. Mark's fists curled on the table, knuckles white. His voice dropped to a low, dangerous calm. You can say whatever you want about me, Joy. But don't you dare disrespect the people who've supported me. The same people you talk down to every day. Joy's laugh was sharp, almost cruel. Oh, don't flatter yourself. Nobody supports you. They support the idea of you. Because it's easier than admitting you're just another privileged man who got lucky. The studio went still. Even the cameras seemed to hold their breath. Mark leaned forward, eyes locked on hers. You've got a lot of opinions about me, Joy. But here's the truth. You don't actually want to hear anything real. You just want to win, Joy smirked, leaning in to match him. Oh, Mark, she whispered, every word dripping with triumph. You don't get it. I already have. That was the spark. Mark sat back, the silence between them buzzing with unspoken fury. His nostrils flared as he exhaled, gaze steady and unreadable. Whoopi finally spoke, her voice cautious. Maybe we should, move on to the movie? Neither of them blinked. Joy's smile was sweet, her eyes burning. Oh no, we're just getting started. Mark's faint smirk returned, cool, dangerous, inevitable. You're right, he said softly. We are. The audience was dead silent now, shoulder to shoulder, breathless, watching the moment before a storm finally breaks. Mark adjusted his cufflinks slowly, almost ceremonially, before resting his hands back on the table. His jaw was taut, but his voice came out steady. You really enjoy this, don't you? He said at last, his tone sharp but controlled. Joy arched an eyebrow, smirk deepening. Enjoy what, Mark? Asking the questions nobody else is brave enough to ask? Mark leaned forward slightly. No. Enjoy humiliating people. You don't care about truth. You care about applause lines. About making yourself look clever at someone else's expense. A rumble of murmurs swept through the audience. Half agreement, half disapproval. Joy scoffed, flicking her hand dismissively. Oh, please. Spare me the wounded tough guy act. You're an actor, Mark. You're good at pretending. But you don't scare me. Good, Mark replied, leaning back, his voice low and deliberate. Because you don't impress me. That hit. Joy's nostrils flared as she straightened. You know what your problem is? You've spent so long being told how great you are that you actually believe it. Mark tilted his head, lips curling into a faint smile. And you know what yours is? You've spent so long tearing other people down, you've forgotten how to stand for something yourself. The line landed like a punch. Joy faltered for half a heartbeat before smirking again. Cute. But let's talk about what you really stand for. Mediocre movies and forgettable performances held together by abs and a Boston accent. The audience gasped. Even Whoopi winced. Mark's jaw flexed, but his tone stayed calm. That's rich coming from someone whose entire career is sitting here throwing stones at people who actually go out and do something. Joy barked out a harsh laugh. Do what? Play pretend? Pose as heroes while real people, people like me, actually fight for something? Mark shook his head slowly. You're confusing fighting for something with fighting everyone. That one detonated. The crowd erupted into applause, some cheering, some booing, but all locked in. Joy didn't flinch. She leaned closer, voice dropping into a venomous hiss. You think that little speech earns you points? Please. Your whole life's been one long Boston street hustle, just polished for Hollywood. Mark's eyes darkened, the first crack in his composure. He pressed his palms flat against the table and leaned in until their eyes met. Say what you want about me, he said quietly. But don't you ever insult the people I grew up with. You wouldn't last a day where I'm from. Joy smirked, sensing blood. Oh, what are you gonna do, Mark? Take me outside? Show me how tough you really are? Maybe throw a punch, just like the good old days? Mark exhaled sharply through his nose, shaking his head. That's the difference between you and me, Joy. You think strength means shouting the loudest or throwing the first punch. Real strength is keeping your dignity while someone like you tries to take it away. The words hit so hard even the cameras seemed to pause. Joy's smile turned cruel. Oh, Mark, you already lost your dignity. You're just too arrogant to notice. The silence that followed was suffocating. Even the lights seemed hotter now, pressing down like a weight. Mark straightened his tie slowly, his face calm, though his eyes burned with quiet fury. Then he spoke, his voice low but clear. You know what? You're not worth it. Joy's smile faltered just for a second, before she snapped back. Oh, running away now? Typical. Mark stood, his chair scraping loudly against the studio floor. Not running, he said flatly, walking away while I still have my self-respect. Gasps. A few claps. The audience split right down the middle, half stunned, half cheering. Joy leaned back, arms crossed, her smirk returning, but her eyes flickered, uneasy now. Somewhere inside, she knew she might have gone too far. Mark paused, looking around the studio, then back at her. You've shown everyone who you really are, he said quietly, and so have I. And with that, he turned toward the wings. The cameras followed every step. His footsteps echoed across the studio floor, steady and unhurried, as the view's most explosive segment faded into stunned silence. He didn't look back. Every stride was deliberate, measured, each step a statement in itself. Behind him, the studio buzzed with uneasy murmurs and nervous laughter as the audience tried to make sense of what they'd just seen. Joy sat stiffly in her chair, arms folded tight, lips pressed into a thin line. The smirk was gone, replaced by something caught between anger and regret. Mark paused just before the curtain. Slowly, he turned to face the audience one last time. The camera zoomed in close, his expression calm, but his eyes still burning with quiet fire. I came here today, he began, his voice steady and clear, to talk about my work, to share something I believe in. I was ready for tough questions. I was ready for disagreement. What I wasn't ready for was cruelty disguised as journalism. Joy flinched, though she masked it with a dismissive roll of her eyes. People tune in expecting honesty, Mark continued, stepping forward so the camera could catch every word. A real conversation, but what they get is someone using their platform to tear people down, to embarrass them, to score cheap points at someone else's expense. The audience erupted, applause, gasps, a few cheers. Some stood, some stayed frozen. Mark waited for the noise to settle, then delivered his final line. You don't have to like me. You don't even have to respect me. But don't ever think your job gives you the right to treat people like they're beneath you. That's not journalism. That's just bullying with better lighting. Joy opened her mouth to respond, but no words came. Mark nodded once, almost to himself, then turned and walked off stage. The applause swelled behind him, uneven but thunderous. Some shouted his name. Backstage, his publicist and a few stunned producers stood frozen. Mark brushed past them with only a quiet, "Thank you," his composure fully restored. On stage, Joy sat motionless, staring at her hands. Whoopi, Sarah, and Sunny exchanged uneasy glances. Finally, Whoopi forced a thin smile. Well, we'll be right back after this break. But everyone knew, on set and at home, there was no coming back from what just happened. Within minutes of the broadcast ending, social media exploded. Clips of the confrontation flooded Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Hashtags like Mark Joy, Wahlberg walkout, and The View meltdown trended worldwide. Fans and critics dissected every second, every word, every look. Some praised Joy for being fearless. Others hailed Mark for his calm dignity. But one thing was clear. Public opinion was swinging hard in his favor. Headlines blared across entertainment sites. Mark Wahlberg walks out on The View and wins the room. Joy Behar faces backlash after brutal exchange. Wahlberg, calm, collected, and done with the circus. Even fellow celebrities chimed in online, applauding Mark's composure and calling out Joy's aggression. That evening, Mark posted a short statement to his social media. It's okay to disagree. It's okay to challenge someone, but it's never okay to humiliate them. Everyone deserves respect, even when you don't see eye to eye. Thank you to everyone who reached out. I'm proud to stand for what I believe in, and to walk away when necessary. The post racked up millions of likes within hours. Joy, for her part, stayed silent. A silence louder than any defense she could have offered. And so the curtain fell. Not just on an interview, but on one of the most unforgettable moments in daytime television history. The day Mark Wahlberg walked onto The View, kept his cool as long as he could, and walked out, not defeated, but victorious. What do you think? Did Mark handle it the right way? Did Joy go too far? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more behind-the-scenes showdowns and untold celebrity moments, because the next story is just around the corner.